neuroleptics, you know that we have discussed about that. They are the broad spectrum antiemetics because they can act upon the cholinergic receptor, that is muscarinic receptor, act as anticholinergic drugs. They can act on D2 receptor, that is dopamine receptor in the brain. They can act on 5-hydroxytryptamine T3, that is tryptamine 3 receptors, which are also responsible for the suppression of the chemoreceptor trigger zone. Now coming to the pharmacokinetics, that is how this drug metabolized in the body. Now as far as the pharmacokinetic is concerned, this drug can be absorbed orally, can cross the blood-brain barrier because it is hydrophilic in nature. So hydrophobic in nature, so that's why it cannot be dissolved or soluble in the liquid body fluid. It is soluble on the fat solvent, so that's why it can cross the blood-brain barrier. So cross the blood-brain barriers appears in the milk. It means that it can cross the placental barrier, so also enters into the placenta. It can also enters into the mammary glands and appears in the milk. Now, how the process of the excretion of the drug takes place? The excretion of the drug takes place by the process of conjugation. Now, conjugation, what do you mean by conjugation? Conjugation means the conversion of certain compounds which are insoluble in body fluid and cannot be excreted, particularly through the kidney or the excretory system. So that's why there are certain drugs which has to follow the process of conjugation. Now conjugation means the combining of the drug with certain compounds which make them soluble in the body fluids. They are known as conjugated products or conjugated components, and process is known as conjugation. Now in conjugation, in the body, the most important component for the process of conjugation is the glucuronic acid. The glucuronides are formed by the process of conjugation, and these glucuronides can be excreted out very easily from the body. So these drug neuroleptics can be excreted by the process of conjugation in the liver, So they are excreted in the urine within the 24 hours. Now, the T-half is 3 to 6 hours. Action appears within half to 1 hour orally. It can be given intramuscularly. Action appears within 10 minutes. Intravascularly in 2 minutes. Now you know that by means of injection, intramuscular injection takes to some extent more time than the intravascular injection. So it takes 10 minutes by intramuscular and 2 minutes by intravenous. Duration of action again 4 to 6 hours. Now adverse effect. The adverse effect of neuroleptic drugs, that is loose stool, muscle dystonia. Again we have discussed this dystonia of the muscles. Long-term use causes Parkinsonism. Now Parkinsonism, that here we have discussed in detail about the Parkinsonism. What is this disease? What is the sign and symptom of this disease? How it can occur? So there is no use to repeat that. So causes the Parkinsonism. Galactoria and gynecomastia in male. Galactoria, that is appearance of milk, and gynecomastia, that is the appearance of the female characteristic in the male, that is known as gynecomastia. It is known as gynecomastia, so it appears in the male when these drugs can be used for a long period of time. Myoclonus, that is involuntary, myo means muscle, clonus means twitching or involuntary twitching of the muscle may occur as an adverse effect. Now tablet is segment and maxillon. Segment and maxillon is the tablets which can be used for the treatment of this process of emetics, that is neuroleptics. Now doses 0.25 mg per kg body weight in the children, 3 times a day. Chemotherapeutic induced vomiting, there is 0.3 to 1 mg per kg body weight can be induced to the patient who are on chemotherapeutic treatment or using chemotherapeutic agent. Now uses as antiemetics in post-operative, drug-induced, disease-associated, that is migraine, and radiation sickness Now again, prophylactically it can be used, that is prophylactically it can be used to treat the vomiting induced by highly emetic drugs, that is cisplatin. Cisplatin, the anti-emetic, that is anti-cancerous drug. Cisplatin is the anti-cancerous drug. So this may cause the vomiting, and to avoid this vomiting by this drug, that is prophylactically we can use this anti-emetic or anti-cancerous drug, that is cisplatin. Means that when we use the cisplatin as anti-cancerous drugs to avoid that vomiting, neuroleptic should be given prophylactically. Now to facilitate, now again, that is gastrokinetics. Now what do you mean by gastrokinetics? Gastrokinetics, these are the drugs given when gastric emptying required in emergency. Now prokinetic, what is the difference between prokinetic and gastrokinetic? Prokinetic, we have discussed that these are the drugs which causes the hurrying in the propulsion of the movement of the intestine, or they causes the emptying of the stomach immediately, so or in hurrying condition. Whereas gastrokinetics are those which are used when gastric emptying required in case of emergency. Now what do you mean by in case of emergency? You know that there is certain disorders, certain disease condition, certain problem when arises where the general anesthesia is necessary to give the patient, or the patient should be given the general anesthesia. So, and this general anesthesia is given at that time when the patient having the meal just before 4 hours, 4 to 3 hours or 3 hours. So when patient having the meal at least 4 hours before the anesthesia, the emptying of the gastric or the GIT is compulsory and required immediately. So in this case, gastrokinetics should be given to that patient to facilitate the duodenal intubation. Second is to facilitate the duodenal intubation, means to find out any abnormality in the duodenum. Intubation means the insertion of the tube into the duodenum, that is known as duodenal intubation. Now dyspepsia means the malabsorption, that is, or improper digestion of the food. Metoclopramide is useful especially in hiccup. Hiccup means that the unwanted, क्या कहना चाहिए, जिसको आप हिचकी कहते हैं, उर्दू में हिचकी कहते हैं इसको, that is known as hiccups. It is known as hiccups, right? Now again, the next is that under the same heading, emetics and antiemetics, we are discussing the antiemetics. Now, gastrophageal reflex disease. What is the gastrophageal? This is another topic. Gastrophageal reflex disease. Now, gastrophageal reflex disease, which is known as GERD, very important. GERD, gastrophageal reflex disease. Now, the drug in this case is metoclopramide. Can be given to the patient. It is less effective in esophagitis than proton pump inhibitor and H2 receptor blocker. Less effective because in esophagitis, that is inflammation of the esophagus, the proton pump inhibitor and H2 receptor blockers are more potent than this metoclopramide. So metoclopramide can be given in this case. Now what is GERD? Is a digestive disorder that affects the lower esophageal sphincter, LES. Now be careful about the abbreviation GERD and LES. LES is nothing but the lower esophageal sphincter. So LES is the link. What is LES? How will you define the LES? LES or the lower esophageal sphincter is the ring of the muscles in between the esophagus and stomach. In between the esophagus and stomach. Esophagus and stomach, there is the presence of the ring of the muscles that is known as lower esophageal sphincter. So it causes the heartburns or acidic indigestion. It causes the heartburn or acidic indigestion because esophagus is the upper part of the stomach. So when food enters into that, if there is an ES, it causes the heartburn or the acidic indigestion. That is, the patient feels the sensation of the coming of the food back into food pipe, coming of the food from the stomach back into food pipe. It is due to that is the heartburn or the acidic indigestion. So domperidone, next drug is domperidone. Domperidone, it is D2 antagonist known as motilium. It can cross blood-brain barrier because it is lipid soluble. So that's why it can cross the blood-brain barrier. That is, motilium can cross the blood-brain barrier. Administered with levodopa or bromocriptine as antiemetic. Levodopa or bromocriptine as antiemetic. Absorbed orally. Gastric prokinetic drugs. Bioavailability is nearly to be 15%. It is due to the first part's metabolism in the liver. First part metabolism in the liver. Now, first part and second part, you may know about this. How the first part, the drugs are metabolized by first part and by second part of this. Now, the side effect, the less than metoclopramide, dry mouth, loose stool, headache, rashes, galactorrhea, cardiac arrhythmia developed with rapid IV injection. Cardiac arrhythmia developed with rapid IV injection. So that's why if the injection is required intravenously, it should be given in form of infusion, and the infusion will be very slow. It will be very slow, otherwise there is abnormal heartbeat occurs that is known as arrhythmia. Now dose 10 to 40 milligram in the children, that is 0.3 to 0.6 milligram per kg body weight, given thrice a day or 3 times a day. Domestal, tomperon and normatic, these are the drugs which can be used. Now Systrite is the prokinetic drug. Systrite, lack of D2 receptors, low antiemetic property on GIT, have similar effects as metoclopramide and gastric emptying, increase lower esophageal sphincter tone. Act through the 5-hydroxy T4 receptor, that is agonism, increase the effects of cyclic AMP from the myotonic neurons, increases the water content of the stool. This does not have any effect on CTZ. Bioavailability is equal to 33%. Metabolized by CYP3A4. Now this is another enzyme CYP3A4 present in the liver. It can be metabolized by this enzyme. T-half is less than equal to 10 hours, not used in the liver diseases. So it causes abdominal cramps, diarrhea, dizziness, sometimes increase in the GOT and GPT. What is GOT and GPT? That is glutamic oxaloacetic transaminase, and glutamic pyruvic transaminase. These are the two enzymes which are known as which comes under the heading of the enzyme transaminases, GOT and GPT. I told you that these two enzymes mostly present in the heart and the liver. GOT maximally present in the heart, less in the liver. GPT maximally present in the liver, less in the heart. So there is sometimes increase in the GOT and GPT due to the metabolism of this drug in the liver by means of CYP3A4. Now ventricular arrhythmia also occurs. Death occurs in those patients who take CYP3A4 inhibitors as antifungal macrolides, antibiotics, antidepressant, HIV protease inhibitors, because these inhibitors inhibit the enzyme. So that's why when the enzyme inhibitor are used by the patient, so this drug should not be given to those patients because they may cause the death of the patient. Then is the mozapride. Mozapride having similar pharmacological action as Cispride, act on 5-hydroxytryptamine 4 agonist, no cardiac arrhythmia. So dose is 5 mg PDS. Dose is 5 mg PDS. Right. Now next is the 5-hydroxy-D3-tryptamine. 5-hydroxy-D3-tryptamine, 5-hydroxy-D3 antagonist, that is serotonin receptor having the 3-type D3 antagonist which inhibit the activity of these receptors. The drug in this case it is known as ondansetron. The ondansetron is a drug which acts upon 5-hydroxy-D3 receptor. Now it is prototype new class anti-emetic drug. Now it is a new class anti-emetic drug to control the chemotherapy and radiotherapy induced vomiting. Particularly we can say that this drug acts as anti-emetic drug acting on the inhibition of 5-hydroxy-D3 receptor, that is antagonize the effect, and particularly it can be used in the treatment of cancer, that is either by the chemotherapy or the radiation or radiotherapy. So these two therapies may cause the vomiting. To stop that vomiting, this ondansetron can be used, right? So it is highly effective in post-operative nausea and vomiting, which we have discussed in our previous slides. Cytotoxic drug. Radiation produces nausea and vomiting by causing cellular damaging. Causes the release of the mediators as 5-hydroxytryptamine from intestinal mucosa, activation of vagus nerve in the gut, emetogenic impulses to the NTS and CTZ. So this is all the condition. This is the condition which is responsible for the emesis, that is cytotoxic drug, radiation produces by nausea and vomiting, produced by nausea and vomiting by causing cellular damaging. Because radiation and cytotoxic drugs, they are usually used to cause the damaging of the cell at the cancer, at that particular part of the body where cancer is there. So due to this, when there is cellular damaging, there is release of the mediator as 5-hydroxytryptamine from the intestinal mucosa, activate the vagus nerve in the gut. So when there is activation of the vagus nerve in the gut, it causes the emetogenic impulses. The emetogenic impulses, I told you that they are the impulses which act upon D2 receptor, histaminic, that is H1 receptor, D2 receptor, and the muscarinic receptor. So emetogenic impulses to the NTS and the CTZ. It blocks the emetogenic impulses both centrally and peripherally. So does not block the dopamine receptor, having less side effect. It does not block the dopamine receptor, so there is less side effects. So administration of ondansetron before surgery, that is 4 to 8 milligram intravenously, repeated after 4 hours, has become the first choice of antiemetic. That is before the surgery, when it is given to the patient, there is most effective in case of emesis. That is, it controls the emesis, the process of vomiting. Useful in vomiting associated with drug overdosage, side effect of citalexazole and fluoxamine, uremia, neurologic injuries. All these are responsible for the process of emesis. So this drug can control the process of emesis or act as antiemetic in this condition. Now side effect, generally well tolerated. So those drugs which are well tolerated, they show less side effects. But the common side effect is headache, mild constipation or diarrhea, abdominal discomfort, sometimes rashes and allergic reactions. Sometimes rashes and allergic reaction on the skin. So that's all about the emetics and antiemetics. Now hope that you will be able to follow the today's lecture, that is how the process of emesis takes place and what is the importance of the process of emesis. Then if there is emesis or the process of vomiting takes place, now we have to control that process, and that is the anti-vomiting, that is the use of anti-vomiting drugs or antiemetics. So antiemetics can be used to inhibit the process of vomiting, so that we have discussed in detail about the classification of the antiemetic drugs. Hope that you followed today's lecture, and best of luck, best wishes for all of my dear students, because you know I love my students. You are not here, but in my mind you are here, and you know that you will not imagine that I have all the concept about you, the sitting arrangement, on which seat which student used to sit, because once when the classes started, the students sit on their chairs on the first day on their seats, and at last, at the end of session, they used to take their own seat, and if they become late to enter in the class, then the seat will be changed. Now I know that which students are sitting on which seat, so hopefully that you follow my lecture and you feel interested in this lecture, because it is very interesting. That is how the process of vomiting takes place, how the process of this vomiting can be controlled by using antiemetics. So that's all about today's. Inshallah, we will discuss later on the purgatives, antidiarrheal drug, that laxative and purgatives, though they are not much difficult, but I have to start these topics, and I have to explain these topics to you. That is, what do you mean by antidiarrheal drug? What do you mean by laxative and purgative? That will be our last lecture under the heading of the gastrointestinal drugs, right? So that is all about today. Be careful about your studies. Give the maximum time to your studies, because there is enough time to prepare yourself. I always say in all lectures that you have the enough time to prepare yourself to appear in the examination and have to perform the good performance in the examination. So that's why we can say that we are the teacher and they are the students. Thank you so much. So nice of you. Allah Hafiz.